So I ran into my ex today, but not just any ex, my ex-husband. And before you get to asking questions, this is my ex from kindergarten. You know that thing where the little boy proposes to the girl with a ring pop? That's what happened to me. We had the whole fucking ceremony with my whole kindergarten class. It was real serious at the time. But then a bitch moved away and that was the end of our love story. Tragic, I know. Anyways, I decided to go to Starbucks today because I'm obsessed with that pumpkin cream chai latte. It's literally my shit. And it was pretty busy, so I sat my ass at a fucking table to wait for my drink. While I was waiting, this guy comes up to me and we start talking and the vibes were there. So of course he asked me for my Instagram, but then the barista calls my name and I was kind of in a hurry. So I just had him give me his Instagram really quick and I was gonna add him back later. He gives me his Instagram and it's really fucking basic. It's just his first name _ his last name. And I'm looking at this fucking name, right? And I'm like, I know this name from somewhere. It's ringing a fucking bell. Why is it so familiar? But I have to go, so I can't really think about it too much. So later on, when I add him back, I get to thinking about it again. Then it fucking clicks and I'm like, oh my God, this is my ex-husband. But then I started gaslighting myself and I was like, well, it's a pretty basic last name. Like maybe it's just a coincidence. Until I fucking asked him what elementary school he went to. And it was the same one that I went to. And at this point, I'm like, this gotta be him. But to really make sure, I asked him, do you remember the kindergarten teacher's name? And of course this man fucking said no because that shit was hella long ago. Why would we remember that? Oh, I did. But he didn't. So then I start asking him other questions like, do you remember anybody in the class? Like, da-da-da. And he kind of gets weirded out and he's like, why are you asking me all these questions? And I'm like, oh, fuck, sorry. I think we went to the same kindergarten class. But I don't know. So then he was like, I can ask my mom because I guess she had a picture of the whole kindergarten class, like a group picture with our names and the teacher. So he asked his mom for the fucking picture. My name was in there, his name was in there, and the teacher's name was in there. So I was like, you're my husband. And he texted me back like, what are the fucking odds we run into each other 19 years later on a fluke? And I'm like, you're telling me? But there's still one question remaining. We never got a divorce. So is this really my ex-husband? Or were we just on a really long break? I don't know. Y'all let me know. I'm just a girl.
Here's the story time everyone has been asking me for, and I'm finally ready to tell it. How I found my ex-boyfriend cheating on me. Before I start the story, you guys need to remember I was in love. Literally thought I was going to marry him. I don't know why, but genuinely was like, we're going to get married. So my loser fucking ex was spending his summer in the south of France, and I was still in New York, so we were doing long distance. But I had his Resi account because he had an Amex, and like Amex holders get the best reservations, and I needed a Carbone reservation for my sister. So mind you, I have his Resi account, right? And there was a reservation made for 2 people, and it was during a time that he wasn't gonna be here. Like, he was still in the south of France. So I was like, what the fuck? I called my sister and she's like, dude, it was probably just a mistake, or he's coming home early to surprise you, or maybe he has just like another girlfriend. Like, maybe he's just totally fucking cheating on you. And we were like laughing about it like it was a joke. So I'm still on the phone with my sister at this point, and I decided to check my hidden request in my DMs. So my DMs are split up 3 ways. I have my primary, my general, which is like all just like my whores and like the men that I talk to. And then I have my request. And then after I click on my request, I can go to my hidden request. So for some reason, I just felt the urge to check my hidden request that day. As I'm scrolling through my hidden request, I see a DM that's like, are you dating? Let's call him dumb fucking loser. Are you dating dumb fucking loser? And I'm like, oh my God, my heart literally sank to my stomach because no girl is going to DM you asking you if you're dating your boyfriend just because she wants to congratulate you. Like, absolutely not. And I'm like, yes, I'm dating him. And she responds, great, same. My heart, I can't even describe to you what I felt. In that moment, I feel like I just got like literally shot and like beaten at the same time. It was like the worst feeling in the entire world. And then she's like, do you want to meet up and talk about everything? So I was like, fully yes. It's 10 p.m. on a Friday night. I put fucking sunglasses on because I'm bawling my eyes out, and I sprint my ass to wherever she was. Turns out he was seeing us at the same exact time. And he had lied to her about a bunch of stuff that he had lied to me about. So his story wasn't even straight. It's like, if you're going to cheat, do it fucking well. But this is where things got weird. The girl was like, girl boss, we don't need him, fuck him. Okay, really? And I'm like, no, like that was literally my boyfriend. I just got my heart broken and I'm going to grieve this for a moment. But she kept asking me to hang out. She's like, let's go to yoga, let's go to coffee. And I really didn't want anything to do with any of that because I literally had just gotten my heart broken and I was like, I'm good. I don't really need any more friends. Like, I'm fine. But I'm also I didn't say that. And I'm a girl's girl. So like, I believed her more than anything. And then I find out she asked him to get back together. And the only way she'd get back together with him is if he stopped talking to me. And he told me this, and I'm like, you guys can fucking have each other. I want nothing to do with any of this. And he's like, no, I love you. And I'm like, choke. So I text her and I'm like, hey, I heard you want to get back together with him. Just like wishing you guys the best. And she's like, honestly, Livy, yeah, I do after he paid me back. Oh, because that's another thing. He owed her a lot of fucking money. But she's like, I just want to give him a second chance. And I'm like, girl, do you. If you want to look like the dumbest bitch in America, go right ahead. It will never be me, but you go off. You go crazy. But obviously I was really nice to her because I'm a nice person. But then he sent her a text and was like, if I can't have Livy, then I'd rather be single. And I'm like, okay, well, one, you're going to be single. And two, I don't care. Like, I literally don't care at this point. I want nothing to do with you. And then she texted me again and is like, okay, I actually don't want anything to do with him, but if you want to go get drinks or go to yoga, let's hang out, girly. And I'm like, no. So we think it's bad right now. What if I told you it only got worse? I find out my lovely boyfriend was lying to me about his grandma being dead. His grandma was dead the entire time, and he was telling me that he was going to visit his sick grandmother when the woman had been dead since May. So that for me was the end of our relationship, obviously. But if you remember at the beginning, I told you about a Carbone reservation that I was really set on for my sister. So he got me that Carbone reservation and was like, can we please talk when I get back? Can we please talk when I get back? And I was like, yeah, of course. Because I knew he'd cancel the Carbone reservation if I was like, no. Setting spray. So my sister and I went to Carbone, had a great dinner. That night, okay, I have to brush my hair, literally ignore that. That night, I blocked him on everything, deleted his resi, but first changed it to my name and a photo of myself because it really pissed him off anytime I did that, and have never spoken to him since. So that's how I found my ex cheating on me. What a beautiful story for us to share together.
My sister upstaged me at my own wedding, which shouldn't really come as a shock to me considering she's been doing it for our entire lives. But I don't know. I guess I thought at my wedding things might be different, but no, it wasn't. It really has been the story of my life that anytime anything big was happening in my life, I just knew that my sister was going to come in and find a way to make it about herself. Graduations, birthdays, anything. She would find any excuse possible to make sure the attention was on her. And call it wishful thinking, but I thought that my wedding would be different. Not because I thought she would be different, but because I think it's really hard to upstage a bride on their wedding. I mean, I'm wearing white, I'm walking down the aisle. The whole day is about me, so no matter what she would try, still, like, the attention would be on me. A few weeks before the wedding, my sister came to my house and told me that her and her husband were expecting a baby, which was so exciting. I've always wanted to be an aunt. I was so happy for her. But that's when she told me that I can't tell anybody because she wants to announce her pregnancy at my wedding. At my wedding. She was like, Kels, it's going to be absolutely perfect because everybody that I would want to tell is already going to be there. And you already had your moment. Like, you walked down the aisle, you were a bride. It's the reception. So I'll just, stand up, tell everybody. It'll be great. I was like, no, I actually don't agree with you on that. First of all, in no universe is it ever a good idea to announce your pregnancy at someone else's wedding. But also, I was keeping a secret from her, and that's that I was also pregnant. And I was planning to announce my pregnancy at my own wedding. So not only did I not want her to announce her pregnancy because it was my wedding and my day, but also I was going to announce my pregnancy. So yeah, we're not going to both do that. And I was beyond reasonable about this. I told her, listen, I don't care if you announce the day before my wedding. I don't care if you announce the day after my wedding. I don't care if you announce on my birthday, which is coming up. You know what? I will buy you a blimp. I'll rent it out and I will help you make your announcement. Did you know there's not that many blimps in the world? I just learned this, but I will find a way to rent you a blimp and make this pregnancy announcement the biggest thing ever, as long as you don't do it on my wedding. That's all I ask. I was bracing myself for the fight of the century, but surprisingly, my sister was so cool about it. Should have been my first red flag. She was so excited. We actually bonded about the fact that we were going to be first-time mothers together. Our kids were going to be the same age. They were going to get to grow up and be really close-knit cousins. It seemed like we were starting a new leaf. Obviously, I've had a lot of issues in the past with my sister, but it seemed like maybe her becoming a mom was changing her character a little bit. No, it wasn't. I'm going to just foreshadow that right now. Flash forward to the day of my wedding. Everything is going absolutely perfectly. We're giving speeches. My sister knew that I had planned to announce my pregnancy at the end of the speeches. So when they ended, before I had the chance to get up with my now husband and announce my pregnancy, she jumped up, clinked her glass, and told everybody that she had an announcement and that she was pregnant. And she had the audacity in her announcement to say, "Thank you to my sister for allowing me to share the celebration with her." She made it seem like I told her it was okay so that nobody would think she was in the wrong. And of course, everybody was erupting in applause and cheers and congratulating her and her husband. And yeah, it did become a celebration about her. After that, she was the talk of the entire reception and nobody really cared about me anymore. But story of my life. That is literally what it's been like being her sister my entire life. And I made the decision that I wasn't going to announce at my wedding anymore because I didn't want it to seem like I was trying to one-up her and her announcement. So I was just like, whatever, I guess we're just not going to announce my pregnancy at my wedding like I really wanted to. Then she had the nerve to come up to me at the end of the reception and say, "You know, Kels, I know that you said that I shouldn't announce at your reception, but I don't know, I was just so excited and decided to do it anyway." What? You just made the executive decision that you were going to announce at my wedding, even though it's my wedding, and I asked you not to, because I was pregnant, and I was going to announce. Okay, cool. And you know what? My entire life, I've let her walk all over me and treat me terribly, but not this time, because this time, her 30th birthday is coming up, and she has planned the biggest party I have ever seen. This girl loves her birthday more than anybody in the entire world loves their birthday because it gets to be 100% about her, but not this time. No, not this time, because I missed the chance to announce my pregnancy, but I'll make sure that I find a very special way to do it at her birthday.
Something I will never understand is when you're friends with a girl and you find out that her boyfriend is a cheater, or even worse, they try to come on to you. And so of course you tell your friend, and instead of them getting mad at the guy, they cut you off. This happened to me before where I was dating a guy and I introduced him to my best friend at the time. And for some reason, I had gave him her number because we were all meeting at a party and I think he was going to get there before me. So I was like, just call her when you get there so you're not like lost. So a few days later, my friend calls me and is like, "Hey, your man is calling me to come over," and it was 2:00 in the morning, so you know exactly what he was calling her for. So I was like, oh, okay, because immediately all feelings went out the window. Like, you're trying to hook up with my best friend. Like, of all people on earth, like, this guy was very good looking. He could have got with anybody, but you want to hook up with my best friend? Like, you are demonic. Like, you have to go. So we immediately went into like sting operation mode because I wanted to catch him red-handed, of course. So I had my friend call him back on three-way, and this man was so stupid. Like, he should have known something was up because she was asking him like all of these different questions and he's just yapping his gums away, like just talking like a little parakeet. And then finally I jump in on the phone and it goes silent. Like, I literally gagged him, you guys. Like, I could hear the lump in his throat forming when I came onto the phone. So he's trying to talk his way out of it, but like, he got caught red-handed. And this is how I know this guy was like truly deranged, because then he starts crying on the phone, like trying to manipulate me. Like, this man was sobbing on the phone, and even I got uncomfortable because I'm like, bro, we haven't even been dating that long. Like, it's not even that serious. So he's just crying. Me and my friend are just laughing at him, like hyena maniacal laughing at this man while he's crying on the phone. We're just like, and I was so happy in that moment because it was like my first sting operation and it was so successful. After that, I never talked to him again, never saw him again, was just totally done. And the next day, me and my bestie went to Ted's Montana Grill and we got margaritas. And I just feel like that's how every situation like that should end, with you just laughing at the man on the phone while he's crying and then go getting drinks. But yeah, don't ever let a man come in between you and your best friend, like, ever.
I'm gonna try to make this short, but this was the worst experience of my whole entire life. First of all, he calls me. I get to the restaurant before him. He calls me. We're in downtown Fort Worth. He's freaking out. He's like calling me pissed. The frickin', except he's cussing.
pedestrians and traffic and I hate downtown. And I was like, first of all, you need to calm down. Second of all, you chose this place. So relax. I said, I just got here. It's not that serious. We got all night. Like, freaking relax. He finally gets to me. When I'm waiting outside the restaurant, he walks up to me. He greets me by going, rah! I was like, ew, and also cringe. And then he hugs me as if I was the love of his life that he hasn't seen in 3 months. And I was like, okay, like, off to a terrible start. Dinner was the most awkward of my life. I went to the bathroom twice just to escape. Made friends with some girls in the bathroom. Told them how it was the worst date ever. How I was dying to leave. He tried to hold my hand twice. I pulled away and said, no. Twice. He's like, the second time he's like, you're not gonna hold my hand. I was like, no, please don't touch me. He paid for dinner. It was $127. What? Okay, I offered to pay my side. He declined. We left. We're walking. He's yelling. He's playing fake mad, which he says was like a joke. He wanted to go to cigar lounge. I was like, absolutely not. I said, I really want to go home. It's like, let's go. He kept trying to hold my hand. I kept telling him no. He said, no, it's not an option. And he grabbed my hand like aggressively. And I was like, but I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of scared of him at this point. Even though, by the way, he was as tall as me. He lied about his height. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of scared of him at this point because he's getting like angry. So I was like, I'm just gonna roll with it. So I held his hand and it was, I wanted to throw up. We get to the parking garage and he's like, I don't even know if I'm in this garage. I'm like, okay. I said, can I see your phone? He gives me his phone. I'm looking, I'm like, yes, you're in this garage. See right here? And I show him and he's just like, I was like, are you drunk right now? Like, are you drunk? Are you high? Like, what's going on? He's like, I may have had a lot of alcohol before I came here because I was nervous. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, you're drunk right now. I'm sorry, I was nervous. I was like, let's go. So I literally started pulling him by like his shirt. I'm pulling him. We go in the elevator. We can't find his car. This guy has no mother freaking clue where he parked. No clue. Dad mentioned this is the worst day of my life. Like, you don't remember what level? No. And now he's like really leaning into the drunkenness. And I'm like, this dude is gone. Like, wow. And wow. Okay, so wow. He's just drunk, I guess, okay? Or something. I don't even freaking know. Who knows? Don't care. I ask him for his keys so I can hit the horn to find his car. We start at the top and we work our way down, okay? I'm so nice. I wanted to leave his bootay just sitting in the... No. But I'm nice, so I try to help him find his car. We can't find his car. We're honking the horn. He starts to get very angry. He's throwing his food, yelling, hooting, hollering, screaming, kicking the pillar like we're in a parking garage. I'm like, okay, so I start recording. He's drunk, he's pissed. I'm just trying to calm him down. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. You've got to calm down. We're gonna find your car. Like, it's gonna be fun. I'm being so nice. Security rolls around and I flag him down and I was like, help me. I didn't even care at this point. I was like, I'm being rescued. So they jump out of the Jeep and they're like, oh my God, and they call for backup and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Everything's fine. It's like, he's drunk. He's angry. We can't find his car. This is a first date and I would really like to just leave. Like, can you guys take over? There's like 6 of us now, all these like security guards and me and this drunk guy. It was the worst night of my life. Not of my life, but definitely for the plot. I recorded the security guards too. More footage to come once I edit. Bro. I tell them all the details. First date. I think he drives this car. He doesn't really know. Here's his keys. I was honking the horn. I think it's over here somewhere, but we can't find it. He's drunk. He's angry. They took my contact information. It was a whole thing. So he's yelling across the parking lot, you're done with me, aren't you? You're done. I'm never going to hear from you again. And I was like, the 2 security guards were just laughing with me. Like, yeah, dude. But this is why we take our own car. This is why we keep our phone fully charged and full of storage so we can record things. I already blocked his number in front of the security guards and block. Thanks for listening.
Honestly, normally I wouldn't even give attention to these girls, but the story is just too funny for me to not tell. So for some quick context, when I first moved here to Spain, there was an Instagram group chat for girls in my university specifically, in which we all planned to meet at a little like bar in the town that our university's in, just to meet a few of the girls and, you know, make some friends since we're all new. Anyway, so we go and we're sat at this bar. There's like maybe like 12, 13 of us. So the waiter comes to take our orders and everyone there gets like an alcoholic drink, and me, I don't drink, so I order a Coke, and the topic of me not drinking comes up because I don't drink. And everyone was like just asking me some questions about it. Like no one really cared except for this one girl. Let's call her Gigi. That's not her name obviously, but just for the sake of the story, Gigi. So Gigi goes, how are you gonna come to Spain and not drink? That's not possible. And I'm like, I think it's pretty possible. Like, I think you can come here and not drink. Anyways, we kind of move on from that. And one of the girls who was there with us, very sweet girl, it was her second year in this university and also like her 6th year in Spain. So she was just kind of telling us like the places that are good to go party and to, you know, eat and whatever. So naturally the topic of like clubbing and partying comes up. And she told some of the girls there like, oh, I'm actually going out to this one club tonight if you guys want to come. And this is like a good like week and a half before uni started, so a lot of us had free time and some of us were talking about potentially going. And she was kind of telling us like other stories about her club experiences here, and she's like, yeah, we always end up leaving at like 6 a.m. And I made a comment and I was like, oh, 6 a.m, like that's hardcore. Like me personally, I think after like 3 max I'd tap out of anywhere. And then this girl Gigi again turns to me and goes, you can't go to a club in Spain and not stay until 6 a.m. And I'm like, watch me. Like, what? It was just so bizarre. Like, all these things that she's commenting on is so unnecessary. Like, I do understand that this girl comes from like a country in which it's in their culture to start like clubbing and drinking and smoking from like a really young age. So I get why it would be bizarre for her, but like these comments are just so unnecessary. Literally no one else there cared this much, or at all, I mean. But it gets even worse. So at this point, the thing ends and we're taking an Uber back, and it's like 5 of us in one Uber, and one of the girls who's in this Uber happens to be this Gigi girl. And they're talking about like the club they're going to tonight, and then Gigi again brings up like me and my not drinking. And she goes, no, I don't care. It's my goal to get Diana drunk by the end of the year, and also I'm gonna spike her drink. Bro, what? Like, I don't care if you meant it as like a joke. Like, who jokes about that? That is so bizarre. And like me and 2 other girls who are also my really close friends still now, we were like in the back while Gigi and some other girl was in the front, okay? So we all just, when she said this, we all kind of just looked at each other like, what? Anyway, so I called my mom the next day and I just talked to her about this, and she's like, Diana, like just ignore her, like stay away from these types of people, like she's obviously weird. And I'm like, yeah. So months go on, like I literally don't talk to this girl. She lives in my residence, which we'll get back to later. But yeah, like I'm being polite. Like every time I see her I'll smile, but I just don't engage in convo. I don't initiate like hangouts or anything with her. I don't feel the need to. Anyways, in February, there's this new girl who joins her class who's like a friend of one of my really close friends. And her and Gigi are apparently in the same class. Now, this new girl also lived in Dubai like I did. And she told my friend, who told me, that her and Gigi were talking, and she brought up the fact that she's in Dubai. And Gigi, keep in mind, we've only had that one interaction ever at that little bar in which she said those weird things about me and in the Uber. She goes, oh, I know a girl from Dubai. I met her like at the beginning of my time here. She's so immature and she's such a slut. Oh my god. Guys, I literally hung out with this girl once, and you're telling me she was so triggered by the fact that I don't drink or smoke that she's going around saying these like insane things about me to random girls. Anyways, whatever. She also said some other stuff that had nothing to do with me, but like she was saying how she's so much better than everyone in this university and that she should have gone to IE instead. They're more on her level, how no one here has like designer things. Like what? Like just really strange things. Anyways, after that, I still didn't say anything. I'm like, guys, like I'm really not gonna waste my time with these types of people until today, okay? And also, after I found out that she was making these comments about me, I stopped like even smiling at her in the resi. Like, I'm not gonna pretend to be nice to someone who is saying all these bad things about me. Anyways, today I went to heat my food in like the common room that's also like the vending machine room in my building. And she was with this like one blonde girl that I've never seen before, but she wasn't there like when I entered. So I'm there heating up my food, and they enter, like her, Gigi, and this one blonde girl that I've never seen before. And they just start laughing, and then this blonde girl goes, ugh, it smells like shit in here. It smells so bad in here. It smells like someone died in here. And I'm just like looking at them like, because like while they're saying this, you can tell like they're not even being serious. Like they're doing it because I'm there, and they're just like laughing to each other. Like they think it's like the funniest thing in the world. And they're like holding their noses like, it's all this like blonde girl talking, by the way, which I've never met, but obviously it has to do with something that Gigi told her about me. And Gigi was like agreeing, like, oh yeah, it smells so bad. They were holding their noses, looking at each other, laughing. Like, it was so weird. And I was so tempted to say something. Like, I know exactly what I would say as well, which I'm not going to say on here. But I said nothing because I'm like, I'm not going to engage in this like childish, like middle school behavior. Mind you, this girl I think is like 21. But yeah, I decided to not say anything, and just as I was like walking out, all I said was like freak, and like I walked away. Like I didn't even like look at her, and I could still hear them laughing, dying, like as I was walking out, and they were like, oh no, I can't take it. The smell is so bad, it's so bad. And I'm just like, okay. Anyways, I don't know if they thought they like ate with that, but I literally felt like I was back in like middle school, like dead ass. Keep in mind, all this because I don't drink. Anyways, that was it for the story. There's probably a really big chance that this girl is watching this video, and if you are, hey, I'm saying big chance because she's so clearly obsessed with me if she's talking about me after only meeting me once. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because the reason I wanted to make this video is to say that whoever is watching this, please never change your values and morals for someone just because they think that like you're weird for not doing something that they do clearly for the sake of validation, and not to care what other people think about you. Anyways, that is all. I love you guys.
My husband is upset that I don't look like a mom because I look good. That's like in Legally Blonde, we're like, you're breaking up with me because I'm too pretty? Dan and I have been married for 3 years, and 8 months ago welcomed our amazing son into the world. He was very planned and wanted, and motherhood has been transformative for me. So I was able to take 4.5 months maternity leave before going back to work. Without going into too much detail, we both work white-collar jobs that require professional attire. A normal workday look for me is a skirt or a pair of slacks, a silk blouse, pumps or boots depending on the weather, but always with a heel because I'm fight-foot nothing. Maybe a blazer if I have a big meeting. Dan wears a suit almost every day. I also style my hair and do some makeup for work every day. This is what I wore before our son was born, and what I continue to wear. Dan and I are pretty even in sharing parenting duties. I tend to take mornings because I'm more of a morning person than Dan. A normal morning for me starts early, short workout, shower, get baby up, get ready, get baby ready, and baby off to Dan because the daycare is on Dan's way to work. I'm normally dressed at the tail end of this process, but I keep my robe on over my clothes in case my son wants to give my outfit something to remember him by on our way out the door. That's smart. For the last month or so, Dan has been more irritable than normal in the morning. There have been side comments if he gets up and I'm drying my hair or getting dressed. Basically, if I'm not 100% focused on my son in the morning. Our son is happy playing and supervised, so I just chalked it up to morning moodiness, but it's been getting worse. Last night, I brought it up in a way I thought was a neutral, non-confrontational way. Basically, his answer was this. His mom was 100% a mom after her kids were born. She gained a fair amount of weight after she had kids and never tried to lose it. She wore sweatpants every day and works a job where she wears a uniform, so if she wasn't in her work uniform, she was in sweats and a shirt. She never did her hair or makeup. Her entire identity was being a mom, and she shared with me how hard it was to watch her kids start their own lives. Dan thinks I don't care about our son as much as he does since I worked on losing the baby weight and still put effort into my appearance. I feel like keeping this part of my identity actually helps me be a better mother. I love my son, but I'm still me. And I still have the things I like to do. Dressing well, blowing out my hair, and doing my makeup are therapeutic to me. Now, that being said, my son is my life, and if I knew that not doing those things would guarantee him a happy, healthy life, I would stop immediately. I told Dan that my son and I have our morning routine and he gets a lot of time and attention before I go to the office. Dan said he wasn't looking to fight, but he just wanted me to think about my priorities and my time management. Is it normal for new moms to totally sacrifice all of the things you like to do? Is this a sign of something deeper I need to address with my husband? But there are some relevant comments. Spludgy XX says, why the heck does he care that much about your appearance if it doesn't actually directly affect your son's life? I'm with you on this one. If it doesn't make a difference to how your son is treated, why can't you treat yourself and do your makeup? It's not like you're spending all the time and ignoring your son. I don't really get why he equates how someone looks with how good of a mother they are. Even if his mom was how you described, there are so many others who are good mothers but also take care of themselves. If it's not affecting your son, I don't see why you would need to change what you're doing. And OP responds, part of my job is sales and client service based. I feel like I have to look put together because that's what they expect. I don't think it is impacting my parenting. MCQ76 says he should stop projecting his views of motherhood and memories of his own mom onto you. It's inaccurate and just a little creepy. It sounds like you're spending time with your kid, so he has nothing to complain about. I can't even begin to imagine the amount of logical gymnastics that would get me to think that dressing like a slob means you somehow love your kid more. And OP responds, it's basically that any time I spend doing stuff for myself is time that our son isn't the center of attention. But I am paying attention to our son. He's never neglected. And if I had to choose between straightening my hair and making my son feel better, my son wins without a second thought. An update, I had no idea my post would get so much attention. There was a lot of really solid advice and one creepy PM warning me that by dressing in business attire and wearing lipstick and heels, I was being overly spicy sleep around my child and that would turn my son into a serial unaliver. Oh, a couple of clarifying points. My mother-in-law did work when my husband was growing up. She just didn't have an office job. She works in a medical field and wears scrubs every day. When she's not in scrubs, she's in sweatpants. Seriously, for our wedding, his family started a pool about whether or not she would wear sweats to the wedding. I did not suddenly get smexy after my son was born. I was slightly overweight before my son was born, and I'm back to my pre-baby slightly overweight shape. Now, the update. Dan and I went out without our son so we could talk. I told him that I was confused by his comment and I wanted to talk about things. I asked him if he could name specific things about the morning routine that made him feel as though our son was neglected. I offered to switch shifts, so to speak, if he thought our son should have more AM parent time. To make a long and confusing conversation short, Dan's confused by the fact that I got over my postpartum depression and am back to normal now. It doesn't make up for anything. He's like, you should still be depressed. My mom was depressed for years. For some context, my PPD never made me question whether or not I love my son or made me feel like we never should have had him. My PPD made me feel like I was constantly failing my son, that I wasn't good enough to be his mom, and that he deserved better. There were a few times I broke down and started crying and would tell Dan that he was so much better at being a parent than I was, and that our son didn't deserve to have a crappy mom like me. Luckily, I have an amazing DR who recognized that this wasn't just baby blues and helped me get the help I needed. It could have been much worse. But it can be a lot worse if you don't listen to more episodes with stories like this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Just search up Waxing Storytime, and it won't get worse. But there's more. Basically, Dan only felt like a good parent when I was failing and telling him that I was terrible at it. Now that I'm doing better, he no longer feels like a good dad. That's a you problem, man. It's crappy, but we're starting couples counseling. Okay, good. I'm continuing with the counseling I started for my PPD, and Dan's going to see someone too. We're going to figure it out. And I'm still going to wear heels to work, even though it's going to turn my son into an axe-wielding maniac. And that is the end of that story.
Hi guys, get ready with me as I tell you about the worst date ever. Disclaimer, I have to scrub off my self-tanner, so no one come for me. Okay, so story time. I met this guy at the club, which I should have known is already just a red flag. Why am I accepting dates in clubs? I don't know. His friends invited us to join their table, and I met him and I was like, oh, this guy is super cute, whatever. But I immediately should have known that it was a red flag, because the first thing he says to me is like, oh, like, I'm a CEO, I have my own company, blah, 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 blah. In the moment, of course, I'm like, oh, love a man with money, love a man with ambition. No. This man didn't have ambition. He just wanted to rub in my face that he had money and I don't. We planned a date to go to this really nice restaurant, and I don't go on dates or anywhere nice. I'm just gonna tell you just like the consecutive like red flags that just kept happening. Red flag number 1. We were an hour and 15 minutes late to our reservation, and I'm sorry, I do not like that. When we walked in, he was like, yeah, I had a reservation at 8. We're a little late. And I'm like, a little? He's like, okay, yeah, we're a lot late. I'm like, here we go. He's gonna be rude to the staff all night long. So then we get seated, whatever. He's wearing a Gymshark long sleeve t-shirt and like Lululemon joggers. Like, yeah, that'd be cute if you're going to the gym, not if you're going to a nice fancy restaurant at 9 o'clock at night. All of a sudden, he's like asking me like what I want to do. And I'm like, well, I work for a nonprofit. I do events and fundraising. And he just immediately starts shitting on my job, basically calling me poor, and that what I do is just like not substantial, and like I need a man like him to take care of me. And I'm like, well, no, this is what I want to do. You don't know me, so I don't know why you're coming at me telling me that my profession is quote unquote poor. I understand that my job is not for everyone. Not everyone can be great with kids. Not everyone can be comforting in situations where I work. And I'm like, I don't even want my kids that I volunteer with to know you, or I don't want you to volunteer with them. As he's shitting on my job, I'm like, well, we don't want you anyways, so shut up. So then we order, it's fine. We get the food. He's eating with his mouth full. I just have this memory of white, like ricotta, whatever, white cheese dripping down his face. I'm like, then this is just where it started to get worse. So then all of a sudden, you know, as he's chewing with his mouth full, food in his mouth, whatever, he starts getting really close to me. I'm like, what are you doing? Grabs the back of my neck, starts massaging me. I'm like, can you please not touch my hair? Like, I worked on this for 2 hours. And he's like, come here, baby. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? This man tried to make out with me tongue first in front of everyone in this nice ass restaurant. And I pushed him away from me. I'm like, I'm not making out with you in this nice restaurant in front of all these people. He's like, you need to not care what other people think of you. I'm like, I don't care what other people think of you. I am just like a lady, and I'm not gonna stick my tongue down anyone's throat in this nice bar. No one wants to see that. I don't even want to do that. He's like, you're so feisty, you're so spunky, you're so fiery. Like, I just love that about you. Like, I love that you're not afraid to say no. I'm like, oh, I have a feeling I'm gonna say no a lot tonight. So they're still eating. I had 1 glass of wine, and then he does it again. Grabs the back of my neck, starts massaging my neck, and I'm like, seriously, dude, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. Like, you will not be getting anything from me. Seriously. Then he FaceTimes his friend, and his friend's like, oh my God, she's even more beautiful than you explained her, like, blah, 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 blah. Then the friend on the FaceTime was like, come on, Caroline, give him a little kiss for me. I'm like, ew, no. And that's what I said, and he's like, oh, she's so feisty, like, I love her spunk, like, the exact same shit that the guy that I was on a date with said his friend said. I'm like, do you guys think that girls that say no are just, like, being spunky and, like, feisty? First of all, why are you calling me feisty for, like, having boundaries? I'm sorry. And why are you asking me to kiss your friend on FaceTime? Are you, like, gonna get off on it? Like, what? So obviously I did not do that. And then once again, he's like, you really don't like PDA, don't you? I'm like, no, I do not feel comfortable with PDA. So then we get the check, and I guess the waiter, you know, went to his other tables,
This man starts flinging around the waiter, flinging around the bill. I literally slam it down and I'm like, put that shit down right now. I'm like, you're embarrassing me, number one. Second of all, rude, just rude. I don't know why men with money think that, who acts like this? That it was crazy. Oh, I forgot to mention this part. So at the restaurant, he was like, I can't wait for you to come over tonight to meet my dog. And I was like, yeah, about that, like I can't come over, and I don't even like dogs, so I don't really care. And he's like, no, but you'll love my dog, like blah blah. He was like getting really pushy and being like, no, you have to, whatever. I'm like, nope, like I have work tomorrow. Like I was off my game at work when I went out the other day. Like I'm not doing that again. He's like still trying to convince me, but I was like, yeah, like no. So then he didn't bring it up until we leave the restaurant. And I'm like, okay, can you call me an Uber? Like I had a great time, whatever, just being a liar. And he's like, no, I'll drop you off at home. And I'm like, are you gonna drop me off at home, or are you gonna take me to your apartment, try to meet your dog, and then you're gonna take me home? And he's like, no, I'm gonna take you home after I take you to go meet my dog. Lost my mind. I'm like, nope. Whatever. I'm like, call me an Uber. Like I'm not going there. So then as the Uber is coming, he grabs me and tries to make out with me again in front of just multiple people in front of this restaurant. And I push him and I'm like, seriously, you do not take no for an answer. I told you I didn't want it, and I told you I don't like PDA. I'm literally just like, how did I get myself in this position again? Like seriously. And after explaining it to my friends, they're like, Caroline, like, do you understand what happened to you yesterday? And like, I've never talked about this before, but I have been sexually assaulted in the past. And guys, like I went to therapy, like, but I didn't even realize that was what was happening to me, because this is like a really, like, it just wasn't sex. Like, you know, like he wasn't like forcing like his, you know, but he was doing it in other ways, like touching me when I say stop, like trying to kiss me. Like it wasn't in the way that I've been assaulted before, but it was just like a different way. I can't even explain it because I'm like shaking, but it's just like, what? So yeah, that was my date from hell, and I blocked the man and I just never spoke to him again. Oh, and he also bought me a flight to New York City. Like I'm gonna be going to that. Even though I probably should have realized what was going on sooner, I'm glad that I said no and stood up for myself, because it definitely could have been just a lot worse. But like I probably should have asked for help at the restaurant and been like, hey, like this guy is just like not taking no for an answer. And it's like there's definitely a power dynamic. Like he was older, and I can just already tell that he thought that I was gonna be some 22-year-old that he can walk all over and like flaunt around, and that's just not me at all. Like, don't get me wrong, I love being taken care of and I love being shown off, but like not like that. Well, moral of the story is, don't be afraid to say no and to stand up for yourself. Don't be like me and try to take yourself out of this situation sooner. I didn't understand what was going on, but now I can help you kind of know and like look out for those things. It's like, even if he's just touching your hair or touching something and like you say no and he does it multiple times, like that's not good.